Chapter 12. Hunter becomes hunted. By the time the bright circle rose, Ruby woke and saw Chomper wasn't back yet. With a deep sigh, she gathered her weapons and left to join the group who congregated around the large rock. There she saw Magnificent, who waved and walked toward her, smiling warmly. "Trudy, I'm so happy you came to join us."
"I wouldn't miss this. To miss this would be very unfortunate."
Magnificent gestured for them to leave the sanctuary to roam around the rock formation. Ruby kept a sharp eye out, seeing no sign of Sharptooth, which was peculiar given there was such a bountiful number of leaf-eaters around, which always brought packs of Sharptooth.
"Magnificent, do you ever see any Sharptooth?"
"Seldom and far between. I like to think it's because of the great crevice that keeps them away." Magnificent looked in the direction of the chasm. "Some day, Trudy, we will take back this world and be in control. We'll be the superior species."
"What makes you think that?"
"Let's just say I dream big." "Magnificent, I've spotted one!" cried Glider from above, circling before shooting down. "Hurry, no time to waste!" Magnificent led the group, Ruby running up beside him, keeping up. "Trudy, prepare yourself." They found a collection of rocks to huddle behind, Ruby peeking out to see a Sharptooth who walked slowly, seeming hurt.
"Oh, it's just an injured Sharptooth. He won't harm anyone. Cause trouble he won't."
"You're right, for he'll be dead," Magnificent said with a smile. "Charge!" Ruby saw Horner, a clubtail, and Glider followed Magnificent, who headed right for the Sharptooth. The male Sharptooth looked up when he heard a yell, seeing a group head his way. Struggling to flee for his life, there was dread in the male's eyes. From above, Glider swooped down to peck at him with her beak, causing him to stop, allowing the others to surround him. Disoriented, the clubtail tripped the Sharptooth, sending him to the earth with a thunderous crash. Magnificent stood over the Sharptooth, who bared his fangs, snapping at those who got too close. Waving his hand, Magnificent saw each went in, the Sharptooth thrashing, trying to keep them back. Though after some time, it was clear to all the Sharptooth was wearing out, growing tired.
"He's injured, Magnificent. Harmless."
"The only harmless Sharptooth is a dead one." Magnificent snatched her spear, lifting it up. "I assume you use this thing to kill." Ruby shot in front of the Sharptooth, drawing her bow and arrow.
"Don't touch this creature!"
Magnificent wanted to shove her aside, only for Ruby to twist his arm with her bow and send him flying to the earth. With him down, she redrew her bow and shot an arrow at Horner and the clubtail's feet.
"Back off!"
she shouted, glancing at the Sharptooth, who eyed her up with shock. Switching to Sharptooth, she spoke directly to him.
"Get up! Go!"
You speak Sharptooth? Ruby, the alpha's mate?"
"Yes, now go!"
He got to his feet, darting by and back to the safety of the mysterious beyond. Magnificent growled and got to his feet, glaring at Ruby. "What did you just do?"
"I saved an innocent life, defended a harmless creature."
"Innocent? Harmless? That thing is a monster and has killed several of our kind."
"So, that doesn't mean you get to decide who lives and who dies."
"When we get back to the sanctuary, I want you to turn in these things, or I will take them from you by force."
"I won't give them up. Your threats don't scare me."
"Really? Well, perhaps the well-being of Rodney might change your mind." Ruby was silent, frowning at him.
"You dare threaten my mate?"
"If you obey, I will share with you my great plan." Magnificent kept the spear, reaching out to lower her bow. He let his hand linger on her shoulder, Ruby stepping back and looking him over carefully. The moment her eyes locked with his, she saw he wasn't genuine. but rather was a persona, a trick. There was something hidden behind the twinkle, a darkness she felt she'd seen before. She was on her own and didn't want to let on she was suspicious of him, going along and keeping her head down till she could get back and talk with Chomper. With luck, he'd be willing to hear her out, but after the fight, who could say? In the sanctuary, Chomper woke up later by the pond. Sitting up, he rubbed the sleep from his eyes and leaned over to drink some water. After the water settled, he saw a female fast runner behind him. Quickly, he spun to face her, wondering where she'd come from.
Hello, I didn't mean to startle you.
It's fine, Chomper chuckled nervously. Morning.
You're the new guy, huh?
Yeah, Rodney.
I've heard of you, but this is the first I've seen you up close.
Walking around him, she scanned him over with interest.
You sure are handsome. Odd-looking, but still handsome.
When she approached him, Chomper stood back. Thank you. I should go.
Why the rush? We could talk. You're friends with a friend of mine, so you don't need to hurry off.
I think I should. She let out a small giggle, walking up beside him.
You know, being an outsider and all, you've caught the eyes of a few females, myself included.
I'm with Trudy. She's my mate. My one and only. Chomper said at last, hoping she got the hint he wasn't interested. I'm loyal to her till my last breath. Even in death, I will continue to love her. She wasn't upset in the least, staying close to him.
Well, around here, you're allowed to have more than one mate.
What? Chomper asked with astonishment. So, do you have more than one mate?
No.
Wait, so the males are able to have many mates, but you aren't? Seems a little one-sided.
Well, it's one of the things Magnificent said could be done. He has many mates and... Oh, I've said too much.
She placed a hand to her beak and looked around cautiously. It was then Chomper caught it, what Ruby had seen all along. Fear. The female feared Magnificent, which meant the sanctuary wasn't all it was cracked up to be, which meant Ruby was right to be concerned, and Chomper had been gullible to fall into the illusion. If we're friends, we can be honest with each other. Chomper smiled kindly at her, making a conscious effort not to reveal his teeth. Trudy and I are outsiders, which means if there's something you're scared of, we might be able to help. She looked up at him, letting out a deep sigh.
The truth is, Magnificent is interested in Trudy.
Why?
Well, the female you befriended is one of his mates. And the night you two arrived, she overheard him speaking about his interest in Trudy.
Who exactly is Magnificent?
The thing is, no one really knows who he is, where he came from, only that he brought us here.
If he brought you here, why does he not look older than he is?
Some say he's immortal, believe he can't age or die. It was as though he were granted youth at some point, though he is getting somewhat older.
Chomper rubbed his chin, glancing to where Magnificent went during the night. Wonder what he's hiding up there.
Look, Rodney, word of advice. Don't go digging, else you might find yourself in serious trouble. The best thing to do is accept the rules and keep your head down.
That is if you wish to survive. Yeah, well, I was never one to follow rules, depending on the situation, of course. And this situation may require some rule breaking.
Well, I'll see you around, and be careful.
Thank you. He gave a nod, knowing the moment Ruby came back, they'd need to talk. By late day, Magnificent returned, and Ruby made her way through the herd to find Chomper. He too searched and spotted her, rushing to her. Once they met, they embraced, both letting out soft sobs.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Chomper. I'm sorry, too. I should have believed you. You were right. You were right all along, Ruby.
They stood apart and weren't even noticed as the herd cheered for Magnificent, who waved and soaked up all the attention. They walked off to their nesting spot, knowing they could talk in private without anyone hearing them.
I was told today that males have multiple mates. How weird is that?
Chomper shook his head, only then noticing Ruby's weapons weren't with her.
Ruby, your weapons!
She stood and tears rolled down her face, trembling slightly.
I was forced to hand them over when we returned.
What happened?
Oh, it was awful. He tried to kill an injured Sharptooth. There's something else. I think he wants to take over the Great Valley.
The Great Valley?
But he doesn't believe in it. He mentioned about spreading the safety of the sanctuary. Chomper, our friends, they could be in danger. If he's got several who do anything for him, who are loyal through and through.
Guess leaving is out of the question.
Indeed. Besides, Magnificent said he'd let me in on his grand plan.
Then we need to act first, Chomper said, Ruby looking at him, impressed in a small way. Once you get your weapons and go out with him tomorrow, you'll have the chance to take him out. While you're out, I'll poke around his nesting area to see what he's hiding.
Oh, Chomper, you're sounding like an alpha.
Yeah, you were right about that too. If we're together, there's nothing we can't do. I may never have the respect of Sharptooth, but I'd rather have your love than that. Taking hands, they leaned in and nuzzled noses. As the pair plotted, Magnificent was busy himself, looking over the weapons he took from Trudy. Glider sniffed at the weird objects, all not knowing or seeing such things. Boss, where did you say you met them? They were wandering around in the mysterious beyond. What are these things? Asked the clubtail. If I knew, I wouldn't be studying them, would I? But you know everything, commented Horner before receiving a swipe from the sharp stone attached to the long wooden stick. The rest gasped and stood back, knowing Magnificent wasn't above violence against those who questioned him. Magnificent straightened up and allowed Horner to rise. Trudy and Rodney are rather particular individuals. Yeah, did you see how Rodney recited the pledge? What a moron! Glider snickered. I think it'd be wise to keep an eye on them. Make sure Trudy stays with us while that fool of her mate stays in the sanctuary. A wise plan, sir, added the clubtail. Indeed, you keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Magnificent smiled and laid the weapons out. I think we need to go on a wide patrol tomorrow. The group nodded, knowing better than to question Magnificent. All the while, Magnificent glanced out over the sanctuary with a cool expression.